I need to check that again. 291 yards. For me, that is an unbelievably long drive and completely accurate. Now, today we tested this driver right here, and in my opinion, this is going to be a huge rival for the likes of Tacoma. You know what? I'd go a step further. To any driver brand, this is something they don't have. Let's find out all about it in this review. This driver wasn't even on my radar for 2025, but so many of you commented, I was like, well, I need to reach out to the owner and I need to get one. Well, we're starting with the par 5 here on the south course, and this is a tough one. Wow. I don't know what to say about that. That felt like I heeled it, but it flew like it was out the middle. What an impressive start. Check out this. First shot I've ever hit with this driver, a 250 carry, 158 ball speed, 1.46 smash, and 10.1 degrees of launch. Now, I mentioned something in this. This has got a patent pending technology in the face. Can you believe that? Look at that. We have just found what I'm going to say is one of the tightest fairways I have seen in a long time. So we teed up and back there, bunker up the right, falls off down the left hand side. I don't think it gets much more central than that. Now, this driver brand is sub 70. They're a direct to consumer brand, and this is their 859 driver. What sticks out to you straight away is this complete matte look of this entire setup. And when I first put that down on the ground, I was like, that is a strange looking drive, and we'll go into that more. Now, just look where I hit that first one. See the T mark? If I put my finger where it was, it literally lines up towards the heel, as I said. But replay how that flew, was not out the heel. Well, certainly didn't fly with some left to right on it. Now, as you know, usually when we test these golf clubs, it's a student, it's a fellow pro, they're like, Alex, you've got to try this. But this club is down to you guys. So that makes me very excited that one, you want to see it, but also hopefully you're not just saying try it and it's a load of absolute rubbish, because it's a brand that's very, very much unknown. Now, I mentioned the technology in this face. It's called ART. And I need to explore what the idea of this is. I think I need to get it in my own head as well. Now, over the course of playing here on the south course, here in Portugal, we're going to be getting some data. We're going to be seeing how it performs actually out on the golf course, how many fairways we hit, and at the end of this video, I'll be giving you a rating. Is this driver a gold? Is it a silver? Or is it a bronze? And you know, if you watch this channel a lot, if it's a bronze rating, then it's something to stay clear of. And then, well, you guys are wasting my time for making me try it. I still can't believe how many of you wanted me to test this driver in the comments. Now, I picked the south course here at Quinta del Lago because it is the tightest to put it through a real test. So, second hole has a little bit of water down the left, and now it's pumping into wind. Let's see how this performs right here. Ah, that was right off the heel. But that hasn't curved anywhere near as much as I thought it should. And considering off the heel, I still got a 154.9 ball speed. Now, have a look at this down the ball. Now, what really sticks out when you do look down this ball is that it's a 460cc chassis, and that's the head size. But what is peculiar about it is the way in which they've shaped it. For me, it doesn't look like a normal shape that majority of the other brands and other brands at this price point, let's say a Tour Edge, let's say even a Wilson, it's like almost dome shaped and rounded. And those fins you can see on the top of the golf club, which many people possibly think are just for design, are there to help the aerodynamics of that club head. So improve club head speed and how that club enters the ball. And then you've got no accent on the top to signify the middle of the face. That's really, really interesting. And then if I just show you the face here as well, you can't really see, you know, most drivers have like these lines here which are really quite obvious. In certain lights you can see them, in others you can't. Right, let's see if we can hit another one. That wasn't a great strike, but still we probably just missed the fairway. Let's hit another one here. Into the wind, probably one of the hardest kind of scenarios you'd have with a driver. They've sent me the 10.5 to green, I left it in standard loft. Right, come on Alex, let's play like your little fade from that left into the middle. Oh, that was, I've not got any better. Look how flat that flight was. The noise is not what I expected. A 158.3 ball speed. Check out this data on the course. 158.3, 267 total. And like an absolute bullet. By the flipping heck is my first one here. There's the second. I mean, that is unreal. Like, I liked how flat, excuse me, that's coffee. I liked how flat that flight was. Oh, there it is, there it is, there it is. Now, what's super interesting, and I want you to look at this. Let's get out the buggy. Because my comments to you were, on that second shot, I can't hit it any better. Now, if I stand here and I point towards where my second shot is, I mean, it's slightly ahead, but there is not much in that. Right, so I mentioned that this is a direct-to-consumer brand right at the start of this video, and on that point, the price has genuinely surprised me. And this is why, like, when I think direct-to-consumer, I think like almost half the price of what you would pay for like a big dog, we'd call it, a tailor-made Callaway. Now, my thing to you is, there's all that old adage, isn't there? Buy cheap, you buy twice. Now, do you, as an everyday golfer, value a good price point and quality, or is it, I'm just driven on the price point? So cheaper, the better. For example, on the top of my head, the cheapest driver you can buy is probably a Ben Ross. The most expensive is probably a Callaway Triple Diamond with a Tour AD 333 shaft. Like, it's probably over £1,000, or even maybe an Autoflex in it. What end of the spectrum are you? Are you completely just driven by the price? If it's cheaper, I'll deal with it and it's okay. Or are you looking for something that's like, okay, right slap bang in the middle between them both? And if I'm being honest, this could be it. Not only this one, maybe the Tacoma Driver 2. There's Vice, there's Tour Edge. For me, this is the fastest growing segment of the driver market. And for you, you should be looking at this going, wow, I've got so much more choice than I did 2 to 3 years ago at this price point. It was either go cheap, probably buy twice, don't like it after a bit, or go really expensive. Whereas that price point right in the middle there, I'm going to say it's exploding. This is the bit that really got me excited about this driver. The fact that I can stand here, having reviewed so many golf clubs, and I've not heard about this before. So, traditional driver faces have face, bulge and roll. So slight curvature from the top to the bottom, and the toe to the heel, okay? Now what's different with this and what they say is ART, axis of rotation technology, is that instead of having bulge and roll in these angles, ART uses a continuous single curvature from low on the heel to high on the toe, rather than separate bulge and roll horizontally and vertically. This matches how the club head rotates and moves through the golf ball. And what they say is it improves forgiveness dramatically. The question is, do I feel that? Too early to say. That's why we need to hit some more. Plus we've got our range data to go through. But one thing I want to point out, the first tee shot, I showed you where I hit it. It found the middle. The first tee shot on the second hole, I hit a bad one and it still went a very good distance in relation to the one that I hit out the screws. This is a narrow one. Fifth hole here, par 5. That bunker is just screaming at me. Right, into wind off the right. Look at that. I like baby draw to the left half of the fairway. Now, the biggest compliment, 276, is that carry? That's total. The biggest compliment I could actually give this is how it feels off the face. It feels very similar to the driver I'm gaming right now, the Callaway Elliott. Now remember, they're at totally different price points. Now this got me thinking, it's time now for you to see this range data because it makes it even more interesting, that feeling of feeling like a premium driver, but not at that price point.
Now looking at this data a little closer, we're going to start with the average total at 281 yards. Now that's not too shabby, with an average club head speed of 103.5. Now, if I'm honest with you, this is a little bit down of what I would normally have. I usually operate around the 110. I did test this driver in the cold, so that is worth pointing out. Apex of 94 feet, where I'm happy with and what I average with my current driver, the Callaway Elite. Now the carry at 251 yards is still up there, slightly lower than I would expect, usually around the 260 mark, but still in a good spot. And finally, the ball speed, 153.1. This is around 6 to 7 miles an hour slower than I would normally anticipate. I want to keep stressing this though. I am testing this in colder conditions to what I had out in Portugal. So I'm showing you a really good balanced piece of data. It also makes you so aware that out in Portugal, when it's warmer, you move much better. But I'm giving you some average data, what I saw on the driving range. And the final piece I want to make clear here is the spin. Not far off what I have with my Callaway, around 2,500 revs. Good spin numbers for me. Overall, makes it quite interesting to see the difference, 1 in the warm, 2 in the cold, but here the averages, what we found when testing this on the range.
And speaking of data, now you've seen the range, that last shot I hit here on the 5th hole was a 160.9 ball speed. Mightily impressive. Mightily impressive. So what does this ART technology mean for a mid-handicap weekend warrior golfer that just plays here and there? Well, unfortunately, we don't find the middle of the face as often as we would probably hope. So off-centre hits are going to be more forgiving. They're going to go straighter. You're going to get a little more distance. And I know other drivers have promised that, but what's really interesting is that they've gone about it in a totally different way. In terms of not axis here and axis here, it works in this direction. Now I briefly want to show you this. I've been studying the bottom of this driver, and this is like a channel here that I've seen on TaylorMade. I've seen this on Mizuno's driver, the one Marco Peng is getting ridiculous 180 ball speeds with. And then these two weights at the back. Recently, we've just had leaked videos of Rory McIlroy's QI4D core driver. And the weights are like that at the back. Okay, 160 ball speeds, the best we've had on the course. We found on the fairway. Let's see if we can get this going a little better. That shape it's getting a little bit more familiar. But what is, I can't get in my head here, for the 300-ish price point, which I'm going to say is expensive for a direct-to-consumer, is that feeling off the face. It feels premium. And that's probably one of the reasons why everybody was in the comments to test it. Look at that fly. It's a high draw, ladies and gents. That's a high draw down that fairway. And that is the... You need to see this. 112 clubhead speed, not my fastest clubhead speed, but a 161 ball speed out on the golf course. Find that fairway. Hello. Come on. That felt really good. Very quickly, I felt very confident with this driver. The question is, what do you think of it? And one thing's for sure, I am bloody glad you told me to test it. On the Sub 70 website, it says they took 3 years of R&D to get to the point where they released this driver. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think that's really like groundbreaking. Like, for example, Titleist have a 2-year minimum R&D period before they launch a driver. So look, I'm not saying that's not great. It is great, but I feel like you don't need to say that. I feel like there's way other big things and benefits with this driver than saying it took 3 years. Like, because I don't think it's really that groundbreaking. But the R&D they have put in is friggin' brilliant, in my opinion. Like, I like the fact that they've gone down this route of not looking at like a totally different material in the face, but actually looking at what would help an everyday golfer, making it more forgiving. So just to sort of say how that works, imagine that's your driver face. Normal faces would have bulge and roll sort of in these direction like this. What they've done is, it's like, imagine you pulled the corners from top to bottom in a diagonal fashion. I've never seen that. Other things that, you know, I'm a big fan of, leather head covers or leather feel with this sort of sub 70, almost underneath the 70 line. How narrow is that, by the way, which we're about to hit down? And then all these sort of matte black accents, hidden 859 here, weighting system, black, slight bits of carbon, even down to the fact that you've got this adjustable hosel and then a slight dash of carbon here on the top. Now, I actually would say, thinking of direct to consumer, this has to be a huge rival for something like Tacomo's driver this year. Because I don't feel the whole story of that Tacomo driver is anywhere near as compelling as this one. Right, this is our final drive. Can we make it the best of the day, on the tightest fairway of the day? This is why I picked this golf course for us. I think I have. Look at that shape. That feels like it's in the air for eternity. I'm going to say it feels faster than my one off the face. Oh, is that 291? That's a 291 total. 158 ball speed, 1.5 smash. That shape was like a Rory flight. Let me just check that again. 291 yards. For me, in the middle of the fairway on what I think is an incredibly tight hole, is mightily impressive. So let's go through gold, silver and bronze. Now in the categories how we look at this, looks, I'm going to throw it right in there at a gold. Slightly strange looking head when you put down the ball, but you get used to it. Dispersion, gold. Distance, gold. Price point and value for money, it's a gold. It's an absolute cracker. Not what I expected when first testing this driver, but one I definitely think would be a huge, huge Tacoma rival.